Peter King is joining us, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing, NBCSports.com. So Odell Beckham will not play this week. But, Peter, I went back in 12 games and I looked at all the data, and I'm like, Cleveland's everything. But they don't get any freebies. They don't get a lot of over-the-top stuff. And I do think a year ago I was on move him. I don't think he works in Cleveland. And today I'm like, I think he's the missing piece for this offense. Your thoughts on when he comes back for them?
Well, Colin, it's been now 10 months and a week or two since he's had that surgery. I'm surprised he didn't play in week 1. I'm surprised he didn't play in week 2, or he's not going to play in week 2. All along you've heard what a superb rehab this is, and he's doing fantastic in rehab. And look, it's impossible to tell what happens in anybody's particular rehab. Odell relies so much on his quickness, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with the length of time it's taking for him to come back. Joe Burrow had a torn ACL, torn MCL, and a torn meniscus, and he's back a month earlier, more than a month earlier, as it turns out. And look, quarterback is a different position than wide receiver, so you really don't know. But all I'm saying is that, to me, the Cleveland Browns are built on a great running game and a passing game that they need to be explosive. And you're right, they need to have Odell Beckham Jr. to be at their absolute max. But Colin, Odell Beckham Jr. is simply not a durable football player.
True.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
You just look at his history. So, they better learn to live without him, and they better learn to, maybe highlight Donovan Peoples-Jones a little bit more. I'm of the opinion right now, if you line up every wide receiver in football right now, in my top 10 easily would be Jarvis Landry.
Yes. Yeah.
He is so important. He makes so many plays. He's such a physical and emotional presence on that team. And I understand that Odell Beckham Jr. is incredibly explosive and valuable, but you got to be on the field to be a great player.
Generally in the NFL, if you screw up your first team, it doesn't necessarily work well. Drew Brees is obviously the all-time great exception. Darnold's hoping he gets a reboot and it works with Matt Rule. He certainly has weapons. Joy and I have talked about this with Jameis Winston. The first sign that I thought it could work is he lost weight. And I said, okay, that's for a pro athlete. Like, Jameis is committing now. He didn't take a salary and he lost weight. And I'm like, all right, so he's changing his body and he's changing his bank account. That feels like grown-up moves to me. You talk to him after that win. I do think he has a chance to be kind of reborn in this league as a quarterback, and the second version is better than the first version. I think it's better than 50% odds. What did he tell you after week 1?
Well, better than the first version. If it wasn't, he'd be selling cars in Tampa. I mean, he doesn't have a future in football if he's leading the league in interceptions over a 5-year period, so which he did in his first iteration. And you're right, Colin, I think this is very simple, very simple. On Super Sunday last year, Jameis Winston sat in his house in Tampa, and he watched his team with his teammates win the Super Bowl, only with a different quarterback in Tom Brady. That hurt, and it hurt a lot. And so he has been determined that he is going to make this right in New Orleans. And there's one other thing. When he got on the team bus in Jacksonville before that game on Sunday, he stopped in the front row and looked over at Sean Peyton and said, "I've dreamed of this day my whole life." And okay, you're saying, well, that's a little cornball, but think of it. He grows up in the viewing area of the New Orleans Saints. He's in middle school, 8th grade, I think, when Drew Brees signs to play quarterback in New Orleans. All through high school, every Sunday he turns on the TV. There's the Saints laying waste to everybody in the NFL. And he just thought to himself, if I could only ever be a quarterback in an offense like that. And now, with Sean Payton in his prime, needing a quarterback post Drew Brees, he signs Jameis Winston. And so Jameis Winston says, I need to do everything in my power to make this right. That's why I agree with you. I think it has a good chance, look, to work. Parcells once said they don't sell insurance for stuff in this game. And so you don't know. It's one game. You just simply don't know. But it was a very good first sign for him.
You know, Jimmy G yesterday went on a very popular radio station and in San Francisco and said, I'm making the best of it in regards to the Trey Lance comes in, series here, series there. Mark Sanchez and Greg Olson came on my show in the last 2 days and said, it's really brutal. It's really hard to do this. You don't know when it's coming. When's Justin Fields, Trey Lance? But we know the Bears are not a Super Bowl team, so I'm more supportive of experimentation, let the kid play. But in San Francisco, this is a great division. I don't think Trey Lance can win this division. Kyle Shanahan has a lousy record without Garoppolo. Garoppolo was very good Sunday. He didn't evaporate late. The special teams did, and the defense did. And I thought it was a real telling comment to say, in a popular local station in San Francisco, I'm making the best of it. And I thought, is Jimmy a little better than we give him credit for? Does he have a little more leverage here in the NFC West than we give him credit for? Your thoughts?
You say that he's got a lousy record without Jimmy Garoppolo, and he does. But, Colin, there's a little bit of a difference with Mullins and Beathard and Trey Lance. So, to me, that's not really fair to say. He's never had a quarterback like Trey Lance on his roster. And that's one of the reasons why the 49ers were smart to not trade. I'm glad they didn't get an offer of a first-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo because I don't think they should have traded him. All along, they have wanted depth at the quarterback position. They have it. And, look, Jimmy just has to – he's just got to take it. When you say he doesn't have any – or when you say he's got a little leverage, and maybe he does, my point right now is that Kyle Shanahan, I believe – is pretty sure he can win with Trey Lance. And this is how he wants to play it. If you're Jimmy Garoppolo, you've missed an awful lot of time with 2 major injuries, and you just have to, I think you just have to take it. You really don't have any alternatives other than to simply take it.
I thought one of the more impressive wins of the weekend was a rookie coach and Justin Herbert with a brand new offensive line go to Washington. Ron Rivera, very good defensive coach, great defensive front, and win late. Herbert was 74% on third downs. I watched the entire game, every snap, and I was kind of taken back. I'm like, that is a way tougher win than a lot of people think. There was a lot of new stuff. New coach, new coordinator, new offensive line, best defensive line in football. I don't know. I kind of sat back and I said, we're going to look at that game in about a month and go, that was ended up being, because I think Washington's going to blow through New York tonight. What did you make of the Chargers opening week?
Really quality win. And I think, hey, Colin, think of this for a second. 5 years ago this week, like 5 years ago today, 5 years, Brandon Staley was the defensive coordinator at John Carroll in the Ohio Athletic Conference, and he's getting ready to play a game against Baldwin Wallace. Okay? That's how far this guy has come, and now you're seeing he is basically to defenses in the NFL that he has gone to. He now is essentially what Sean McVay was to the Rams offense. Remember, coaches and people inside the Rams, when they could sense that he really wasn't happy with Wade Phillips, meaning Sean McVay, they told him, go find yourself a good young coach who you can build with. Now, it only lasted 1 year, but Brandon Staley, as defensive coordinator, basically orchestrated the number 1 defense in football. And now, if he has good health with Derwin James and Nick Bosa, or Joey Bosa, excuse me, if they both stay healthy, the Chargers will be minimum a top 5 defense and maybe number 1.
Peter King, NBCSports.com. Great seeing you, Peter. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.